Now, what is a promise worth? The new Transport Minister in New South Wales has given us his word. The Western Harbour Tunnel and the Beaches Link will be built. It's been a commitment at the last two state elections, but with a budget black hole thanks to coronavirus, there are rumours that the $14 billion project is about to be scrapped. But I put that yesterday to the Transport Minister, Rob Stokes. There's a lot of speculation about the Western Harbour Tunnel and the Beaches Link. It's been promised at two elections. Will you be keeping the promises?
Yep. That was a clear commitment made by former Premier Baird and former Premier Berejiklian. I just signed off the critical state significant infrastructure declaration on the project just last week.
He doesn't sound all that enthusiastic about it, but when asked, will you keep the promise, he said, yep. Jason Falinski is the local federal MP and he's on the line. G'day, Jason.
Hey, Ben, thank you for pursuing this issue. Up on the Northern Beaches, we really appreciate it.
Well, not everyone on the Northern Beaches wants the Beaches Link, it's got to be said.
Well, a very small number of people. I mean, they're very noisy, and I appreciate their point of view, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, for the overwhelming majority of people who have to work for a living, who have to get their kids to school, who have to pay the mortgage, who have to put food on the table, this, you know, the A8 corridor, which is Military Road, which is the Spit Bridge, is the most congested traffic corridor in Sydney and therefore Australia. I mean, there are no other parts of Sydney where there's a drawbridge connecting you to the rest of Sydney. In the 21st century, it's an absurd situation.
All right, you just heard what Rob Stokes told us yesterday. Are you convinced?
Mate, I am, because I've got to tell you, signing off on state significance is a really important milestone. So, I mean, people sort of look at transport projects and they think, it's all in the building. You know, once you start laying the road down, that's the project. Actually, these days, transport and infrastructure projects, 75% of it is in the planning and approval process and the financing of the project. So, you know, once someone puts a shovel in the dirt and turns the sod, 3/4 of the project is already over.
All right. Well, I think the people on the Northern Beaches would be mad to not argue for this because, I mean, if you like being stuck in traffic, then that's your choice. But there's also another element here just about being connected and making sure that people are able to work in the city and go home to the Northern Beaches and not spend half the day sitting in traffic. Just a few other things, if I can. The Coalition's plan to require people to show ID before they vote has been scrapped. I can't believe that Scott Morrison couldn't get this across the line.
It's unbelievable, Ben. We've been talking about this since the early 90s. Since the early 90s, people who've been looking at this sort of stuff have said the Australian electoral system is wide open to fraud. It's not that it's happening, but it's just wide open to fraud. Anyone can turn up and say they're anyone and they get a chance to vote. What we were aiming to do was have some of the weakest voter ID laws in the world. I mean, it would put us behind, you were just talking about Greece on vaccine, behind Greece, behind France, behind the UK, behind Finland, behind Canada. And the way that the left and the crossbench were carrying on about this, it just makes you wonder what they know that we don't, quite frankly. So the fact that it couldn't get through the Senate says it all. Says it all. There's something that, you know, why would you not want to have laws that make sure that give integrity to your electoral system? It's beyond me to understand what the objection is.
We're talking to Jason Falinski, the federal Liberal MP. Just lastly, we've heard barking noises and growling sounds in the Senate this week. And then yesterday, the Green Senator Lidia Thorpe was forced to retract a comment that she made when Holly Hughes, a Liberal senator, was on her feet. According to witnesses, Senator Lidia Thorpe from the Greens said, "At least I keep my legs shut." What do you make of that kind of comment in Parliament?
Well, mate, it's nothing short of slut-shaming. And it has no place in Australian society, much less in the Australian Parliament, and especially in the week when the Jenkins report came down. And overall, it basically said, you know, everyone in Parliament House needs to actually start treating everyone else more respectfully. So that very day, Anthony Albanese calls Peter Dutton a buffhead. Okay, so this is the idea of respect, is it? And now overnight, we have a member of the Greens calling a member of the Liberal Party, basically shaming her for, you know, I don't even know what I don't think there's any substance to the allegation. So it's that sort of intimidation, trying to shut people down by shaming them and embarrassing them, and it has no place in public life. And frankly, I don't think it has a place in the wider Australian community.
Absolutely disgusting. Good on you for going into bat for the Northern Beaches. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Ben. Really appreciate it. Thanks,
Jason Falinski, the federal Liberal MP.